Hello everyone, this is Steve with HolyGrail Algo, and we've had some people ask some questions about some of the settings in the indicators and our profit trailing strategy, and I'm going to go through that with you, and I'm going to show you how you can make some changes and how you can use this to your advantage. What I've got here, this is Sunday, and this is so the markets are closed. I've got Playback up here just to show you some examples of how you can make some changes and save templates and what to look for. Now this is the MNQ, and I've got it on a 3 minute. And everybody's going to trade something a little different, whether you're on a 5 minute, 2 minute. I'm just picking a 3 minute here because it's pretty popular, or a 2 minute. Now what I've got here is I've got the cumulative delta, and I've got the long and short call indicator up here, and I've also got the trend band, and I got my strategy, that Holygrail Dashboard, which is disabled. If I do that, I enable it. Okay, we're going to disable it for now just so we can go over a few things. The trend band is an incredible indicator, and I really like it. It does two things. One is it colors your candles accordingly, and you can see how we're coming up here, and you can see once it makes a short, they works really well with the long and short calls, because once this actually shows a short, it shows this is kind of a trigger candle, and it colors it really good, because you know that this is the short candle. This is 7 o'clock in the morning pre-market on Friday, and if you would have taken this and waited for this on the next candle, it did have a pullback, but it got a really nice trade out of this right here, and quite a few points on that. Same thing on the long here. It's pushing up, pushing up. We got a long call here, had a little pullback, but it really went on to some nice profit. Now, if you notice right here, I got the cumulative delta up, and I just started my chart. So, and the default in here is a 5. What that means is that this is going to look back at 5 candles at 3 minutes or 15 minutes to calculate. Now, since I just started my chart, it's showing a -1 right here, delta. That means that it's not done this. So if you get up in the morning, you're ready to start trading, you made your coffee, and you sit down, you open up your chart, you need to wait 5 candles of, on a 3 minute. I need to start this 15 minutes to really get the full calculation of the cumulative delta on here so it can see that. Playback is no different. So what I've got is I've got playback on here, and let's go ahead and start this. And by the way, before I do that, I want to show you something else here that I think is pretty cool. With the cumulative, with the trend band right here, this is the way I really like to use this. Now you can see what happened here. It broke down through here. I like to wait for a confirmation candle, so I wouldn't trade this here. If I'm just going to trade the trend band, which you can, I would have waited for this. This is the trigger candle, and since this candle here didn't touch, that was my confirmation candle, I would have taken a short right here. Now, the other thing I love is rejection. Let's take a look at this right here. You can see what happened is this pushed up here, it wicked up through here, and rejected hard out of here. Now we had a really hard rejection because it came right down. This is what I would call my confirmation candle. And then this is where I would actually take a short, would be right here. You can see what happened. Let's go ahead and run this forward a little bit and see what happens here, because we got the same thing going on here. We had come up, reject, and this is still a trigger candle, and there would be a nice short right there to come down to here. You can see it's kind of happening right there. This is again, this is Friday morning in pre-market, and what I don't like to do is take trades on candles that are touching or wicking through the trend band. I wait for them to either break up and give me a confirmation candle traded on the next candle up, or same thing vice versa on a short. So let me speed this up just a little bit here. You can see it's still touching. I wouldn't touch this right now. We're getting some cumulative delta here coming in, and it's going long. Okay, you can see what happened here. It's wanting to go long here. Now, I typically don't like trading in that half hour right before the market opens. That's just me. You can see right here that it would come up, but I know this printed long, but I like to wait until I get a confirmation to go up. And I've got this pretty fast right here. And I wouldn't trade it on this candle. It's touching. I'd want a full confirmation candle here afterwards. And that could be it. And I really like taking longs on green candles and shorts on red candles. Okay, there it is right there. So now we had a full confirmation here. And I'm going to use my default. I'm going to take a long here. Now you can see this is set up with a 100 tick stop and a 100 tick take profit, but we also have, and let's take a look at this right here. I'm going to leave this running, and then we'll come back and take a look at it here. I'm going to speed this up a little bit. You can see we're locked out. The way this works is at 60 ticks it locks out. Now the trailing profit target is moving. We've got 20 points on it, but she's coming back a little bit. We're giving this room. Now we didn't get much on that because it came back and took us out. So let's take a look at this right here. I'm going to edit this, and inside here there are two templates that comes with it, and I've got a couple tests in here that I'm working on. It's a 2-minute NQ and a 1-minute MES, but you can really trade these on whatever size candles or type of candles you want. That works pretty well. And you can see we have a quantity of 1 that can be changed. We have a profit target here of 100 ticks and a stop loss of 100 ticks. Now, this can be changed. Obviously, maybe 100 ticks. Now, we're just trading this with micros, and I would suggest doing that with it. And we do have a 1-step trail, and we have our enable or profit trailing is enabled on here. Now for the profit trailing to work, you must have either a 1-step or a 2-step. A break even or none is not going to work. So you would have to uncheck this. But with a 1-step or 2-step, this is where this is going to work. Comes defaulted with a 1-step. Now I have this set up to where here we go. And this is the default right here. Let's go ahead and load the default in there. The way it's set up as default is the break-even trigger is set to 0 and the break-even plus set to 0. This means that the trigger is set to 60 ticks or 15 points, and once it reaches 15 points or 60 ticks, that the stop loss moves from a negative 100 to a positive 40. So it's going to lock out 40 ticks on the MNQ once that happens. And then every 2 ticks, it's going to trail it. So every 2 ticks that it moves further into profit, this is going to move. So at 62 ticks, this moves. At 64 ticks, this moves. Now, if it continues on and this gets to 80 ticks, the stop loss moves from a 40 tick trail to a 20 tick trail and trails it every 3 ticks. So this will trap this price action in this range right in here, and it will trail this as it continues on. Now, in a trending market, this works really well, or a market that's really moving in one direction, this works really well. But in a choppy market, this may not work so good. You may want to actually have a break even on here, and you can add that easily. So if I want to put a break even on here, say that I want to do a 40 tick lockout or trigger on that, and I want to lock out, say, 16 ticks or 4 points. Now you need to give this room. You don't want to choke this out. I wouldn't want to lock out like say 30 ticks. That only gives us 10 ticks, which is not much, and the NQ moves pretty rapidly. Now, if this is what I like, or if you want to change your stop loss, say I want to do 80, or if you want to take some bigger trades, you do 120, or whatever your risk management is, you can come down here to template and you can save. And then you can save this as MNQ break even trail. And I'll just call it that. So what this means is that I now have a break even set in here. And you can click OK. And then if I want to load that, I can just come up here to edit strategy. and come to template, and I can load, and then I can load my break-even trail. And here you can see it's going to load this, and it will start trading this. In a choppy market, this may be better. And maybe even in the afternoon when the volumes not go when it's not real heavy in the afternoon. But in the morning when the market's really moving, you want to catch these big moves. Maybe you want to trade the other one, and maybe you want to change this a little bit. But let's go back to this one right here. And we have some other settings in here. If you can want to move your dashboard settings, you can do that. And I'm going to click OK. And we're going to click Enable. We now have our big trail. I'm going to call it a big trail in here. Now this is Friday morning right here, right at the market open. You can see what she did. Look at the rejection right there. Come right down to the trend band, rejected up. Let's slow this down. And I'm on 3-minute candle, so I got 2 minutes and 44 seconds to wait. I'm going to speed this up just a little bit. Got a little over 2 minutes to wait on this, and maybe I don't want to take it, but boy, she's really taken off. Sometimes I'll do that. I'll wait for a confirmation candle, and it's pushed up so hard, so fast that I'm like, nah, I don't want to. I think it's overextended, and I don't want to get in on that. And this one here is really doing that, and you can see what's happening here. She's pulling back, and I don't like that. The cumulative delta is now reading, and I would call that a trigger candle because it almost touched that. And she's so volatile right here. It's a 60-point candle. I probably wouldn't touch this right now, and it's right here at the market open. You can see what happened. It touched again. I would not touch this trade. Cumulative delta is still pretty good, but I want them higher. I like it over 2,000, 2,500 on a 3-minute candle or higher. I'm going to speed this up. I don't like it. It's just not good for me. And you can see we're back and forth in here. I would stay out of this market right now. Now you see the red arrow here. This means that it's actually lowering, and we're coming right back to the trend band again. This time we touched it, and cumulative delta is now turned red, and now things are getting kind of interesting. We're now 15 minutes in the market open. Okay, right here. Now you can see what happened here. We have really good delta coming in here. It's red delta coming in. We have our trigger candle. We now have what could be a confirmation candle, but I don't like that it's that close to the trend band. So let's speed this up a little bit. Yep, and see what happened. That's just why you wait. And it come right back up through there. That would have taken you out if you would have traded that. So we wait. We wait for a confirmation here. Still got decent delta, but it's not high enough. I like it higher on a 3-minute on the M&Q. A lot of volume on the M&Q. So now we have our trigger candle. This would be a confirmation. Nope. It come right back up and got closed. I would call this, and this would be my next trigger candle. I don't want to trade it on this candle, and I don't want to trade on the next. I'm going to wait till it confirms after this one, and I really like taking shorts on red candles, and green candles is what I want to take a long on. So now we've got a red candle. You see what happened. It touched right here. Good delta coming in. Let's go ahead and let this play out. Now, look at the delta now. We got over 4,000, 5,000 coming in. We got 25 seconds, 15 seconds on this candle. And look at that. We even got a short call. I'm going to freeze this right here. We even have a short call right here. This is where I would probably take my trade. This is where I would probably go short right here. So we're going to do this. Obviously, I'm in playback right here. And let's take a look and see what would happen. So this has to go 15 points or 60 ticks into profit, then we would lock out, and then this is going to trigger this. Let's go ahead and let this go. You see we're pushing back a little bit. Oh, look at there. Come down. We got a really nice trade out of that. One micro, $39, and it got in this trade and really trailed it down, pushed it down. And you can see our delta is well up over 6,000 at this point. Now what you can do, and let's take a look. I'm going to back this up a little bit, and we're gonna change this out a little bit to show you the difference. And I would advise everyone to do that. So, but let's go ahead and do our 40 tick, and let's lock out 16 ticks. We're going to lock out 4 points and see what would happen, what the difference of this would be. And let's go back to about 9:45. I need to do that to give me enough delta here to calculate off of. You can see I just started it and there's hardly any delta here because I've got to have all those candles to be able to get a good calculation. And let's speed this up a little bit. And let's go ahead and start our strategy. This is with the break even in it. There is what I would call our next trigger candle. And there is our confirmation candle coming in. And she's pushing down. Got some good delta. Right there's about where I shorted. So let's take a look and see what would happen with a break even on here. And now you can see the break even. And we didn't get quite as much, but we still got a pretty good trade out of that. And it did lock us out a little bit. In a range bound or choppy market like say this, the break even is probably going to help you a little bit more. Now you can experiment with that, and I would highly advise you to do that and download some replay data and kind of practice that. Just remember that you have to have whatever on your delta, however many candles that you have on there, you've got to be able to have that much in your chart for you to practice with that. But you can do different things right here. I can do a 0, and you can even experiment. If I change this to a 60, what this means is that the trail profit trigger has got to get to 60 ticks or 15 points in profit, and it will take the stop loss from negative 100 to 0. Okay, it's going to bring me right back to the break even where my buy-in was. So you can experiment with that too. So what this means is, and you can even do a negative number. I've even done it this way. Like if you set that to say 70, so what's going to happen is that when I get to 60 ticks in profit, this is going to place this at 70 ticks behind it, which would be negative 10 ticks behind to give it even more room. So let's back up here and let's take a look and see what this looks like. 45. And let's refresh my chart. So to do that, this is NinjaTrader. I need to refresh my chart. There, see how it changed? And this is 0. I refreshed everything. This has nothing to calculate off of, so it's going to need some data. I'm going to enable the strategy. I know this isn't going to get a full calculation. I won't have 5 candles here, but it'll be close. But I'm just going to show you the difference of what the trail will do differently if you change your trail around a little bit. And now what's going to happen is when we lock out, we're going to be 10 ticks to the negative on this instead of 100 ticks. But let's just see what happens. Okay, we've got a minute 22 on the confirmation candle. There it is. We're going to take the short here, and let's make this bigger so you can see this better. Let's just see what happens here. I've actually done this quite a few times. Now look at that. Look at the big trade happening there. So what happened was it locked out, but it locked out at a negative, and then it gave it more room, and then it really grabbed the bigger trade. You can see the profit trailing taken off. So I hope this helps, that you can change this around a little bit and do what it matches your trading style. And again, maybe 100 ticks is too much for a stop loss. I don't really like trading this on the full size. You can, but you'll want to the full size is going to be different, the minis versus the micros, because the volume is different. There's just a lot more volume on the MNQ versus the NQ, and your delta is going to calculate differently. So if you've got a chart up on the NQ and one on the MNQ, you're going to see that, and everything else the same, you're going to see a little difference here, just because of the delta is going to look a little different because the volume is going to be different on that. A lot more volume on the MNQ. And I've actually traded the MNQ and made $200 and $300 days just with one micro with this profit trailing in there. And when it moves, it really moves. We're going to take another short here. You can see how it locked out negatively. And now we're in another trade here. Let's take a look here. You can see the profit trailing moving down. And I'm giving this more room. Now we got a 40 point trade here. 50, almost 50 points. Giving it more room, 55 points. You can see what happens. I'm keeping 70 ticks behind. So now we just had two trades, and we made pretty good profit on that. But I've gave it more room here for it to dance around on that candle. So you'll want to kind of play around with this and replay, and you can do the same thing. So I hope this helps. And these calls, the long and short calls, work really well. If you just trade these right here, they do pretty well. I would probably suggest that you do this during the RTH. It works pretty well. In the afternoon, when the volume gets a lot less, they get a little less accurate, like just with any indicator. During the right after 10 o'clock and right there, once you wait for the market to settle down a little bit, they actually work pretty well. So if you have any questions, you can let us know. You can email us at info@HolyGrailAlgo.com. And I want to thanks for watching, and we will catch you in the next video. Happy trading.